Hello, I'm Chris Court with Trades Purpose. I've started this channel basically to gain some awareness in the skilled trades industry. We are going through a tough time, if you haven't heard. We have a real crisis on our hands, I guess you could say, with a lack of workforce. I am a business owner of a plumbing company for the last 8 years. And I've tried to scale for the last maybe 6 years, and I couldn't, no matter what I did. A lot of desperate hires. I paid for guys through headhunters. I just couldn't get over that hill. There wasn't enough. I couldn't find any skilled, experienced, licensed plumbers, right? So I had to hire young and train. And unfortunately, unless you have some deep pockets or a big backing, you can't really take time off of doing the work for your customers and spend the time training your new employees. So it was a juggle. It's basically like a just nonstop juggle. It wasn't their fault, it wasn't my fault, I guess, necessarily. I mean, obviously it was, but I made a lot of mistakes, of course. Learned from them all, but one thing I just couldn't get over that was out of my hands was the skilled trades industry, the lack of workforce available. There's a lot of say about there's not enough interest in the skilled trades, but I don't really think that's the major problem. I mean, obviously we want good quality people wanting to join the industry, and I have a way for that, but it's all about the business owners and having to hire and pay to train these people. You spend a lot of time training. You spend a lot of money, a lot of frustration, stress. All for them just to maybe go to another company once they get licensed, right? So it's tough. It's really tough, and I chose it. I enjoyed it still, every minute of it. But here I am now with Trades Purpose, and the purpose of this channel is to share my ideas. They come from pain. They come from the thousands of conversations I've had with customers over the years. For the last 5 years, we've been winning awards, voted the best in plumbing, water treatment, bathroom rentals, and over multiple platforms. Top choice, consumer choice. We've done good. We've done well in that retrospect. But I've been sitting at stagnant for 3-4 years now with just 3 vans, barely even able to fill them and get work done through them, productive work, anyways. So it's been a challenge, and it's brought me here today to where I am, and I know that. I know what's up, I guess you could say, without being cocky. I battled. I went through the battles. I've learned from the battles. I've understood what this industry needs. And to sum it up real quick, we have to do the training prior to the hiring. So, yeah, the government is doing these pre-apprenticeship programs, but they're not working. And that's nobody's fault either. They're not long enough. They're not dedicated enough. They're not. There's no standards at all. There's no procedures, no nothing. It's just no regulations, I should say. It's just kind of like, hey, we'll take it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, some of them. But we really, when it comes down to hiring them, it's almost like we're getting them from scratch. So unfortunately, it just doesn't work. And what else do you do, right? The government's trying to do whatever they can. They understand that it's a huge issue right now. In Canada alone, we're like 1.2 million skilled trades workforce shortage, like people short. Sorry, I can't talk, but that's a lot. That is a lot. Now, it's not all because we don't have people that want to work, right? Like, I talk to people all the time that pull me over or stop me in a parking lot or whatever, and they say, "Hey, I've been trying to get into plumbing for like 2 years now. How do I get in?" And I just shake my head. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know really necessarily. There's some pre-apprenticeship programs. I've taken it. I took it, but it didn't work. It didn't do anything. I didn't get a job. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I got nothing else to say. I can't hire you because there's a ratio that I can't um, disobey, I guess you could say, even though the legislation changes sporadically in order to help some of these pre-apprenticeship programs get their numbers right. But that's for another topic, another discussion. So anyways, I'm here, Trades Purpose. Check us out online, tradespurpose.com. You'll see that we have created a free AI remote plumbing assistant. It has my brain. So anyone who has used us as a service or used me for the last 8 years will hopefully appreciate that, with the dedication to customer service and doing things right, doing everything to the best of your ability. So I always kind of say, as cheesy as it is. We have then something called The Source, which basically, if you can't figure out the problem on your own with the H2H app, the Here to Help app, with the customer, then it will compile a report automatically, and then match you with an appropriate plumber in the area that you're in and specific to the problem you have, right? So it's gonna eliminate a lot of the initial calls just to come and troubleshoot and understand that, oh, they need this part and that part, when a lot of times just a few pictures and some questions is all you need. So we'll have that, and we'll eliminate a lot of service calls just by that alone. Not to mention the service calls we eliminate by customers taking control and tackling some jobs themselves with the assistance of me in their back pocket. And then also, the Source is meant to, basically I created this, it started with me wanting to be a support for small businesses. The government loves to promote, start your own business, be your own boss, be an entrepreneur. It's great. Have the freedom, set your hours. It's like, but they forget to tell you that, 50% of plumbing companies fail in the first 5 years, and then it keeps dwindling after that even too. You make it past 10 years, then you might be okay. It's not guaranteed though. So it's a rough go. It's a battle. We shouldn't be just all starting a business. Unless you want to just stay a one-man show, working out of your garage and not accepting emergency calls from your clients, who will eventually probably not really like that and go with someone else. But if you are okay with all those things, going out on your own is actually not a bad idea, because you will make more money. It is rewarding, but you're still going to have the sleepless nights where you're like, that fitting really didn't go together right. Should I go back? Should I call? What should I do tomorrow? Should I forget about it? And that just naturally happens on the slightest little thing too, especially to start, right? You're very paranoid to start. Eventually you learn, like, hey, if something happens, you deal with it. But there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of things that nobody wants to tell you about when you start a business. And I'm not saying don't start a business. I'm saying want to start a business, let me help, basically. Let the Source help. Let Trades Purpose, the Source, help. We have an idea of having a CRM that is standardized. Obviously, all the privacy and everything is in place. It's not just shareable information across the board, but basically the idea is that information comes into H2H. A report is generated, a work order is created, and then whoever's at the top of the list for ratings wise in that specific area, the plumber will get contacted with the work order, and then they skip all of that. And people say, oh, whatever, it's nothing, it's just getting a name and a number, and you put it into the database. You know how many times you don't get the right information? You're like, oh crap, I forgot their email address. Oh crap, I forgot the phone number. Oh crap, I don't have all this, but I'll get it later. And you don't, and then you go to invoice and you're like, oh, I don't have the right information, and you got to call them, and then you got to wait for them to call you back. And it's just like, you don't have to worry about any of that, because it happens. Trust me, all that stuff happens. And then on top of that, you have support for onboarding. right? Some training. We have training regimens created already, onboarding paperwork. There's a lot of information about the government. So the government's like, oh, go start your own business, but then they hound you for like everything. It's pretty wild, actually. So the source is supposed to be there for the contractor, right? For the plumber. We want to be there. We want to help them. We want to support them. HR advice as well, hiring advice, help, and then an emergency by committee, right? So anyone who's part of the source will take turns being on call, right? So we'll have as many people on call as we need to, right? Maybe it takes 2 or 3 companies, who knows, by that time. But that was one thing. Always, like I was always on call. I felt sure I had guys who were taking the phone on weekends, but I never felt fully off. Right, the amount of calls I got when they were still on call, right, is, hey, I don't know what to do here. Hey, how can I do this? Hey, what's the billing? Just numerous questions. Some they can find out themselves, right? And that's what we're going to help you guys with too. Resources, right? It's resources. It's all about resources. I can't stress enough resources and systems. So we're going to have some systems in place too that you can onboard. You can tweak and do whatever you want with them. That's fine. But our whole goal is to make life easier for the plumbing business, the company, and all the plumbers involved, and make life easier for the apprentices to be able to have a resource, to know who to talk to, where to go, and what to do. Half the time when I was an apprentice, I didn't know what was up, what was next. Like, I didn't know I needed this. I didn't know I needed that. Like, you don't know as a young dude. And then, ultimately to provide the customer with a positive experience. And both sides. Like, everyone should have a positive experience from this, right? From the service call. There's no reason anyone should be hostile towards each other. We're all doing our best. Right? And maybe sometimes there's certain people who maybe aren't, but we're going to wean those guys out. We're going to wean those companies out. And I think that's really important. So if we can act as a community and reunite again and work together, so, we'll review each other, basically. All the questions that customers have, and rightfully so, they have questions about everything. And that doesn't mean it's going to lead into a job, but you still have to answer those questions. Especially, if they're a customer and you want to keep them and you want to have a good reputation. It's important. But sometimes it's like, you could be out as a small business owner, you could be out on the tools for 10 hours that day. And then you come home and you got to hit the computer. You got emails. So, okay, you start replying to the emails. Oh, you got to log your expenses, because if you don't do it right then and there and you wait for a month, like, it turns into a nightmare. Oh, you got to plan for tomorrow. What do I need? What material do I need? Okay, do I have that yet? Oh crap, I don't. I should have ordered that 3 days ago. I'm not ready for tomorrow, right? That happens. Okay, so I need this and I need this, and I write down my material list for tomorrow. Okay, so then I got to go to the supplier first because I don't have this and this. And then I'm going to go here, and then I need this for this job, and then I need this for this job, and you got to plan out your whole day. And it's not that simple. It's not just jump away and away you go. Especially when you're starting out and you don't have inventory, you don't have stock. You got to figure all that out. Especially if it's special order, too, right? If it's something that's special order, you got to be thinking well in advance. And here's the next thing too: you'll make your schedule Sunday night or whenever. By the time you wake up Monday morning, it's messed up. It's wrecked. It's screwed. Somebody has called and said, oh, canceled, or someone wants to change a time, or contractor's not ready for you, or whatever, or contractor needs you sooner. There's so many variables, and nobody understands this either. People, like, just understand that too, right? It's important that we all recognize everybody's perspective. Okay, so it's important for us as the plumber to appreciate the homeowner's time, respect their property, their space, and how they like, we can't be swearing and cussing and kicking and dragging our feet and struggling. Educating them on what we need to do or what you should do, and then what you did and why you did it. Very important stuff, right? If anything goes wrong, to educate them and tell them, don't just try to slip away. Very important. The customer deserves that. On the flip side, we need some understanding, for one, right? And sometimes guys will make an excuse and say, oh yeah, this and this, but it wasn't really true. But a lot of the times it is true. And if we're all transparent and we're all working together, there's no reason to lie, right? So sometimes a plumber will say, just for the easy sake of it, oh, I got something to run into. Not that, hey, I got to go jump and like do this personal thing real quick. And, they don't want to get into all that. So it's just like a quick little white lie or something, right? Or they didn't have lunch yet and they want to have lunch, or, they don't want to cause a big deal and make it seem like they're not important to customer, but, they need to eat or whatever. So there's a lot of variables on why a plumber would be late, but it's up to us to call. Right. And I used to say when I first started, it was easy to be successful in the trades. All you had to do was call. Like all you had to do was communicate. Because we have such a bad rep for not communicating. And that's not fair to the companies who do communicate. So the idea is to have everybody accountable for their roles, and have respect for each other. Be mindful, be resourceful. And that's kind of what we're here to like kind of coordinate all of. And I'd like to say there's nobody better. I mean, we've got a proven track record of knowing what the customer wants. Like you can go and check out the reviews for Court Plumbing. There's not a crazy amount, but when I was on the tools, it's like my mentality is to do the right thing. And that's it. Do the right thing. It may cost you. And it did. It cost me, it was basically, I worked pro bono for the first couple of years, it seemed almost. But you make a mistake and you make it right. Now, that's not to say we're perfect, and anybody listening, if I've ever, disappointed, I very well may have. But it wasn't intentional. It wasn't, by choice. But for the most part, our mindset is to do the job right. And that's what we need everybody to be like. I have had so many hires that, will say, hey, they're excited, to work for somebody who knows or who wants to do the job right. And then, you go and show up on the job site and you see what's going on. And it's not knowledge a lot of the time. Just so everybody's aware, it's not knowledge. It's effort. It's care, right? We all care about different things, in different ways, and the amounts, something might be important to me that's not important to them. And that's the case for everybody. That's why it's important we all understand each other's perspectives. So I'll leave it at that for now. I think that this is a pretty good intro. It's probably very complicated for most, I would imagine. It's basically all it is, and we have so much more to be honest, but it's a free remote AI system that is available 24/7 for the homeowners. And it's to help, it's not to take away work, it's to help the industry, right? In Ontario alone, for skilled trades, excuse me, there's 17,000 vacancies. 17,000. So let's not worry about taking jobs away just yet, okay? Let's worry about fulfilling the demand. I think in Canada, there was $38 billion lost in revenue last year because of not having enough workforce. $38 billion. So people want to spend money, but they can't. Maybe that kind of is a good thing, I guess. I don't know, but it's not looking like it's going to be. Like, we want to build in Ontario alone 1.5 million homes by 2031 in 4 years. 5 years, sorry. And we're 17,000 skilled trades short already. What, I mean, and then think about this. We have 1/3 of our workforce, and some say even more, they're baby boomers from the ages of like 48 to 58 or whatever it may be, that are going to be retiring within the next 10 years. 1/3 of our workforce. People, like, if you think it's bad now and you don't think you're getting good service now, or you think you got to wait too long now, and then people they don't care, they never get back to you. Well, because they're overloaded. We're all overloaded. There's too much work. There's the supply for the demand is nowhere near. So H2H is going to help with that right off the hop. right? Customers use it. And then you eliminate some of the demand, right? And that's what it's all about, is lowering the demand. And then we'll be more efficient with the contractors, with the plumbers coming out prepared, selecting the right ones to come for the right job. We're not going to send you a drain cleaning company or hook you up with a drain cleaning company when they do water treatment, right? Things like that. They all are important. And then you have someone come to your place, do the job, within a reasonable time frame, for a reasonable price, like a fair price, because if everything's being tracked, and this isn't to like have a thumb on everybody, right? This is just to make sure that everything is transparent and everything is fair and even and equal, because I see the way the industry is going right now, and the price is going up and up and up and up and up, and the service is going down, 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 down. Okay, so we got to stop it. And the only way to stop it is to put some control on it, right? We need to have some control over it as a community. Not by trades purpose, not by me, but as a community. And certainly not by AI and some big corporation coming in and understanding that they can utilize AI and take control of the whole entire market, which then makes us their puppeteers. And then, they dictate what kind of service the customer gets. And it doesn't matter what the customer says. Well, look about how that experience is going to be. Customer is going to be very disappointed in the plumber who goes there. The plumber's going to be like, I can't do anything else about it. This is what we have to do. This is how I'm dictated. I don't make money if I don't do it this way. And that's just a poor experience for everybody except the big corp utilizing AI. So let's get ahead of it. Let's utilize AI ourselves, and let's run things by committee and by community, and keep the small businesses alive and keep the positive customer experiences turned around, and then keep them into as a positive customer experience. So that's our goal. Let's do this. We can do it. I got it. I know we can. I'm pumped about it. I'm excited. It's going to be rolling out soon. I'm going to throw a bunch of information out at you. It may be overwhelming. It may sound like I'm crazy, but just know that it all comes from my heart, from my pain, from my knowledge and my experience. And the industry, it doesn't lie, right? Like anybody who's actually involved in the industry will tell you that we're in shambles. We're absolutely in shambles, and we need to do something. And on top of that, we can also help the United Nations with their sustainable development goals, right? By 2020, 30. Let's get some sustainable goals in place and some actions in place, and save the economy, save the environment, and save the small businesses, right? Amen. Let's do this.